And welcome back to Hannity. As we were just discussing with Congressman Paul Ryan, time is running out for any last-minute deal to avert a government shutdown. And after today's meeting, President Obama and Speaker Boehner, well, they didn't seem like either side is ready to give in.
Right now, there's no reason why we should not get this done. Nobody gets 100% of what they want. We have more than met the Republicans halfway at this point.
Now, we're not going to allow the Senate nor the White House to put us in a box where we have to make a choice between two bad options. You've heard me say for the last 3 months that we have no interest in the government shutting down. But we are interested in cutting spending here in Washington, D.C.
And joining me now with reaction from the Fox Business Network, the host of Varney & Company, Stuart Varney, and former White House press secretary, Fox News contributor, Dana Perino. What were you saying about Mr. Varney's tie?
What?
Nothing. It's lovely.
That's not what you were saying.
It has an interesting emblem on it. Not that anything was wrong.
All right, let's compare. It looks like did you ever work for the Al Jazeera network?
What? What is this, a new show called Ambush?
Ambush, exactly. I had to take you down somehow
You
tonight.
called her establishment once, so I think this is fair that she finally got you back.
Let's see now. Establishment, Al Jazeera. Which would I choose?
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, so we're headed for a government shutdown, or are we? And I personally think, first of all, we'll get to Paul Ryan's budget. I love the budget. $6.2 trillion is serious cuts. These are serious times. But the $61 billion matters to me.
This is that's why I actually think that the timing of Congressman Ryan's budget coming out was brilliant. It was, I think, that they were going to even do it, maybe kick it to next week, and I think they were smart to bring it forward because it put into perspective what we're really talking about.
It's a great point.
This next 6 months, $33 billion, $30 to $60 billion, whatever it might be, is just so small, and it put it all into perspective for us.
Yeah, and if the Democrats are rooting for a shutdown over $61 billion, if the Republicans don't hold the line on that, Stuart, I don't think, how are they ever going to stand firm on $6.2 trillion?
Really, you're right. I mean, look, I think this government shutdown issue, the $61 billion worth of cuts or not, completely overshadowed by the Ryan plan, which is talking trillions in cuts and really getting our country back on track. I think one overshadows the other, but what stands out to me is this orgy of demagoguery that we're now engaging in by the Democrats, whether it's the $61 billion worth of cuts or the Ryan plan. This thing is being demagogued to death.
Already.
And it's
just started.
Already.
It's going to get worse.
Nancy Pelosi has launched right out there and saying, you're starving seniors because of a 5% cut in a program which delivers meals to seniors at home. A 5% cut, she says, you are starving seniors.
That's nothing. This is the cat food, dog food, want you to die is all coming.
Well, where's the leadership here? Who got us into this mess? It was the Democrats. It was the Obama administration. Now, where's the leadership to get us out? It is Paul Ryan. It is not the president.
The reason that we're even having the discussion about a possible budget shutdown is because when the Democrats actually ran the House and the Senate and had the White House, they didn't pass a budget. So now, all of a sudden, it's Congressman Boehner's fault. But let's go back for a moment. Speaker Pelosi in 2010, right after they took their thumping in the election, she said, we will not allow these spending cuts that they're going to propose because it will hurt the economy. Now they're about to take credit for getting to a $35 billion cut in this year's budget. I mean, I think that by any measure, the Republicans have stayed unified and kept the pressure on them, and they're going to get these cuts.
I think there's been this undercurrent of fear by the Republicans about the shutdown. I think that, and that's why they have got to be willing to let the Democrats shut it down, because otherwise they're going to be held hostage as we debate real cuts, $6.2 trillion.
Don't you think that the Ryan plan has shifted the argument?
Yeah,
because it's
Dana's
serious,
point was dead on.
because it's talking about trillions of dollars, because it is the only plan around, and it's dealing with the big, comprehensive picture. It's overshadowed any concept of a government shutdown or $61 billion worth of cuts. That's all politics. Ryan is talking real money, the country's financial future. It is a, frankly, brilliant plan.
Yeah.
But the Democrats are sort of in a time warp. They are still back behind before the election in 2010 in their thinking. That's why they're using that. They're playing the same old cards over and over again. I do think that President Obama, if he really believed that the Democrats were going to take the blame for a shutdown, that the Republicans would take the blame for the shutdown, he would not have come out to the briefing room today and tried to answer questions.
That's why they've got a whole
And he told
firm.
Reid and Boehner to grow up. I mean, It's so petulant. And what you can do at the White House as president is he could have, in that room today, said, let's make a deal and made it look like everyone won something.
But there's a bigger picture here. The president, you know, he said when he was running for office that he was going to cut the deficit in half. These are the largest deficits we've ever had. Nancy Pelosi, $5 trillion in debt, and Obama's not far behind her. So the reality is he punted, and now they're going to try and pick apart, use class warfare, demagoguery, hyperbole to demonize Republicans. Will it work?
No, it won't work, because I really feel that the Ryan plan shifts the political debate. This thing about the government shutdown, $61 billion, that's like inside baseball. It's minuscule. It's inside baseball. Ryan has shifted the whole debate.
But you agree with me that that money matters, because if they give in to the threat of being blamed for a shutdown,
in the short term, a little bit of push and pull, a little bit of political game play. Okay, yeah, it matters. But Ryan has shifted the debate.
I say, why do I say if the Democrats want to shut it down because they can't cut $61 billion of a $3.7 trillion budget, I say let them go make that case to the.
But I think Boehner, even if they agree ultimately to somewhere between $30 and $40 billion in cuts, Boehner has won, because where they started was we're not going to do any cuts at all. Then the Senate Democrats offered $4 billion. Then the White House offered $6 billion. We're now talking $35 billion, and it's less than a rounding error.
He should hold out for every penny.
He's not going to get the every penny.
Why not?
They won't
then shut the government
get there.
down.
Remember, like they only control the House.
This is not
that
1995.
White House. It's
I think
not.
They could withhold funding from a very obscure area of the budget, and
I think the best way to do it is to not allow back pay for any government staffers, including those who work for the members of the House and the Senate on the Republican and Democrat side. And I guarantee you this will be solved by tomorrow.
The demagoguery won't work. The Democrats are exposed.
I also think you could probably.
They haven't got a plan. We're facing a crisis. They have no plan. Demagoguery won't work. The political argument has shifted.
This plan is the debate for 2012.
Exactly.
This is it. All right.
Exactly.
That's good to see you. By the way, I guess.
Well, I
did
think that I would say that you could only say orgy on television in a with a British accent.
And with an Al Jazeera tie. What?
All right, guys, good to see you. And coming up, Frank Luntz is here to break down the language of this budget battle. And then later, Eric Holder's about-face on why people are angry over the Attorney General's surprising announcement yesterday. We'll examine what he said and how he said it and why some are now calling for his resignation. All right, so as we wait and see if the federal government will close its doors, Republicans continue to stand firm in trying to get the largest spending cuts possible. Joining me now to break down the language of this budget battle is the author of the brand new book, a New York Times bestseller, Win, the president of the Word Doctors. Frank Luntz is with us. Mr. Luntz, good to see you, sir.
Thank you, Sean.
All right, path to prosperity. Paul Ryan, you hear the arguments? Are they on target?
They're very much on target. And in fact, you've got a poll right there, if we can pull it up. We've got a very interesting quote from Barack Obama that came from his Senate days
when he was
2006.
A senator. Well, let's play it. All right, there it is. Increasing America's debt weakens us domestically and internationally. Leadership means the buck stops here. Instead, Washington is shifting the burden of bad choices today onto the backs of our children and grandchildren. America has a debt problem and a failure of leadership. America deserves better. Now, this is from a president that at the end of this fiscal year, under his watch, will have accumulated nearly $5 trillion in debt.
And let's see what the American people had to say about that quote.
Yes.
According to a FreedomWorks poll that we just finished, overwhelmingly, the American people agree with the Barack Obama of 2006. Look at those numbers, Sean. 83-6. If you were to tell people that Barack Obama said it, but he's doing exactly the opposite, the level of anger that they would have would be so intense because they would feel like the president was dishonest with them, made claims to them that they wouldn't keep. We finished over the last 24 hours that FreedomWorks poll, and it taught us a number of things. Number one, that should this government shut down, the American people will not blame the Republicans. In the end, they will blame Barack Obama. Number two, in the FreedomWorks poll, that there is specific language that the American people desperately want to hear from their elected officials. And the most powerful of all, Sean, is no more budget tricks, no more accounting gimmicks, no more empty promises.
Yeah.
You deserve the truth. You have a right to the truth. We want a fact-based conversation. That's what the American people are waiting for, and that's exactly what Paul Ryan is doing.
Right. So we've been talking a lot about Chuck Schumer and his comments. We're going to label the $61 billion in cuts extreme. and Howard Dean rooting for the shutdown. Look, this is fairly predictable what the Democrats are going to do because they only have one playbook. They're going to scare seniors. They're going to play class warfare. The question is, will it work, and what would be the best way for the Republicans to counter?
Well, again, looking at the FreedomWorks poll, we asked the question about Medicare, which is where the Democrats keep trying to go at. The American people, by over 80%, believe that Medicare will go broke because of baby boomers retiring, because of people living longer and health care prices going up. And they not only expect, but they demand Washington to solve the problem now before it becomes a crisis. This is where I believe the Democrats have it wrong. They think that they can delay and deny. That's not where the public wants. They want it solved right now, Sean.
Yeah. You know, last week I was beginning to sense Republicans going wobbly on the current budget debate, which is leading to this government shutdown as of Friday at midnight. But this week I sense that they have heard from their constituents, and I hear people shouting, stand by your words, stand by your promises. Is that what you're getting out of your polls?
Yes. Again, quoting the FreedomWorks survey, that the Tea Party, the so-called Tea Party nation, is exactly in the mainstream of the rest of America. That the public says, stop the wasteful spending, stop the lies, tell us the truth, look us straight in the eye, give us the facts, and we can handle it. The best news, Sean, about this debate is that more Americans are going to know about the budget process. More Americans are watching and paying attention to what's going on in Washington, and they're going to say it's about time that we hold these people in this town accountable. They're pissed, Sean. They're pissed as hell, and they expect these people in Washington to get tough.
So how do you grade the rollout today, and what is the preferable language in your mind, because that's your area of expertise, that they ought to be using to educate and tell people, look, we're going broke. You have a choice here: liberty versus, government dependency and ultimate bankruptcy.
And I'd say freedom, Sean, rather than liberty, because liberty is seen as being more ideological. Freedom is something that we appreciate. And by 4 or 5 to 1 margin, we think that we're less free today than we were 5 years ago. In terms of the language, you deserve the truth, a more stable and secure future, because that's focused on tomorrow, not just today. The consequences of failure, which the Obama administration doesn't seem to want to recognize, and the special interest grip on the taxpayers' dollars, the right to know, measurable results, and finally, spending discipline. All things that we haven't seen in Washington under either administration. I have to tell you, in all the time, and I've been doing this now for 20 years, I've never seen a public so hot, so angry, and so eager to see people in Washington stand up and deliver the promises that they made. If there's one lesson about what's going on in this budget, I got to give Paul Ryan an A, because he's done exactly as he promised to do.
All right, that goes for the Republican Party. Frank Luntz, good to see you. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank
and
you,
when we
Sean.
come back, we're going to raise the issue of whether or not Attorney General Eric Holder ought to be fired. That's coming up. And also, don't forget to send us your answers to our text vote question tonight. And when it comes to Capitol Hill's ongoing budget, well, how do you feel about it? You can text your answer when it comes to the budget battle. 36288. Send it there. Type H1 for deeper spending cuts if you believe that's the answer. Type H2 for avoiding a government shutdown. And H3 if you're not sure. We got that debate on Eric Holder and our Great American Panel straight ahead.